Yeah, it's a mess. That's what happens when you're moving. I've been vlogging about us moving and stuff. And if you want to know the reasons why and, the things we've been going through with that and everything, I'll be posting those vlogs up hopefully soon. I have a lot of stuff to edit. I got so much, but the reason I haven't, of course, is because I am moving. But actually by now it's probably been a couple of months. Someone messaged me and said, I watched part 1 of your testimony. Where have you uploaded part 2, or are you planning to? I would like to see it. And I had actually completely forgot about it. I actually this morning, while I was getting ready to head back over here to pack up more stuff, I decided, to review that video, my testimony part 1, which I'll put the link to at the end of this video. But I watched it. It was a good close to a half hour worth of me talking about me. And I probably blocked it from my memory because I just don't like talking about me being the central focus and stuff. But I looked at the date, September 5th, 2012. That's when I posted that video. So it's literally been, what's today? It's like August 27th or something, 28th, I don't know. I can look on my computer. Yeah, August 28th. Almost a year later, part 2. That's funny. But I've been going through a lot of stuff here, the packing, and I haven't been able to start editing the book like I wanted to. This all just kind of happened. So that's been put on hold, unfortunately. But I'm sure we'll pick up with it again at another time. And of course, I've been following the news. I just recently uploaded a video talking about how we need to be looking at the news because Syria is becoming the focal point over there in the Middle East, and that's been a really big deal because it's prophecy. It's prophecy being fulfilled right before our eyes. But all that aside, this video is the second part of my testimony, and I left off on part 1, where basically it was after. And by the way, if you don't know part 1, I would recommend you just go watch that first. But if you don't care, that's fine. Okay, so part 2. I left off where I was talking about how I got introduced to Torah in my life, and I'll just start from there. After I stopped being a youth pastor at the second church I was a youth pastor at, I had served 2.5 years as a youth minister. I did public speaking and things like that. Let me think. Okay, yeah. I started going actually back to the church that I was a youth pastor in for the first time. But I wasn't a youth pastor anymore. Somebody else was heading that up and doing their thing, which that was fine. I didn't even plan on going back there. A friend of mine that I was actually in a band with years ago, back when I was a teenager, really. I played bass and drums with him and stuff, and it turned out that he was during the time. Let me back up here. I don't really remember. It's been years now. If you don't remember, why are you telling us? By the way, I don't even know if I have enough time to do this on my phone. I had joined his band that he was basically starting up, and so I was playing the bass with him and stuff, and it was a great time. I gotta be honest, I loved it. I loved every time we got together, because a lot of times the band practice would actually turn into this big prayer and study time. We'd be like, okay, what about this song? Hey, by the way, did you ever, you know anything about, Acts chapter blah, blah, blah? And we would just go on this long rant. Eventually, a couple of us would be laying on the ground crying and be like, I'm a sinner, So it was great, I still consider them some of my greatest friends and closest brothers and sisters. Though, but, it was a Christian band and everything. And, so, okay, I was in that band and stuff, and we played several places, churches, some kind of outdoors thing, and another outdoors thing, to be honest. We played at a lot of places, and eventually we started being the actual band, the worship group for the first church that I was a youth minister in. So we got into that, but the pastor's son played bass, so I allowed him to basically, it wasn't me allowing him; it was just kind of happened. He played bass, and he was really great. I mean, he probably is the best bass player ever now. But I scooted over onto the drums, and that's where we were with that. But during this period of time, a friend of all of ours that was in the band, I used to go to church with her at the church where I was a children's church minister at. It turned out that she was starting a Bible study group in the town that I lived in. She had her own storefront thing going on, and she actually turned it into this really nice place. It was a lounge and stuff. And actually, we had had Bible studies together. She was a very close friend of everybody in the group. So we had Bible studies and stuff like that at the band leader's house. And she would be there, and she was just always there. She was like best friends and everything with his wife. So we'd always be talking and stuff. And they were like, well, she's some kind of business that she operates and everything. She had a storefront place that she turned into her office, but in one area she actually just made this really beautiful lounge. And you've seen it in a previous video where I go for my midrashes today, but back then, I was still Christian and stuff, and I guess you could say even back then I was a radical Christian, because just it still didn't sit well with me the way that church was going. I just, bleh. But she was starting this thing, and it was like, we can meet there for Bible study groups because it's more central to where everyone lives. So everyone was like, okay, yeah. So we got together, and we started going through Genesis, and she would introduce Hebrew words and terminologies and things to that effect. And then, people were coming and stuff, and it was great. And but then she started asking some very hard questions. Because we were dealing with the creation, and with the creation that there's this picture. If I can, I'll try to show you on here. It'll clip here, and then you'll see a picture. Did it happen? I hope. I don't know if I can. But okay. So she was showing us that picture, and she was showing us 7 days of creation, 7 feast days. Some like the 7 spirits of God, and everything else, and it's like the hard questions started really coming out. It's like, why do we celebrate Christmas? Why do we celebrate Easter? Why don't we celebrate Passover? Why don't we keep the 7th-day Sabbath? Is there going to be a rapture? And this ruffled a lot of feathers, because I think I've said it in a previous video, I'm not sure. It's like, while a Christian, I'd reached basically the limits of where I could go as a Christian, a non-Torah observant Christian. There was just this wall I couldn't get past. It sounds arrogant, I'm totally aware. But I knew everything within that realm. That it was just no rock had been unturned, that was it. Um, I knew all about the Trinity, the rapture, from a Christian perspective, and there was just nothing else. And then, my friend that was starting all this, she started asking these hard questions and stuff, and they had been posed to me before by other people, and I just, I kind of brushed it off because, I knew better. And but then, like, this person I greatly respect to this day, very highly respect. She started asking these really hard questions, and so I was like, well, wait a minute, doesn't the New Testament say that one may view one day holy and the other may view all days holy alike? Let them be fully convinced in their own mind. And she looked at me and she's just like, that's not what it means. And I'm like, what? I'm like, what? What for? Okay, someone turn there, and we're just flipping pages and stuff, and we're just sitting in this circle, or no, it was a half circle. We're just sitting together, and we're like just discussing, are we really supposed to keep the Sabbath on, what we call Saturday today? Is it really? I thought it was changed to Sunday. It's on Sunday. We were supposed to worship on Sunday, right? And she's like, and I came to find out that she actually had been in this stuff for a while, and I of course had not. And she, she went through that, and then she was like, "Okay, look, I just want to ask a question, and consider this homework or whatever. But the next week when we come out, I think we were meeting on Tuesdays at that point, Tuesdays or Thursdays, something like that. She just asked everybody, do you believe in the rapture? If so, when do you think it'll happen?" That was almost like the last straw. I didn't even go and research. I don't know what I was doing, but I know a couple of people in the group were just like, they didn't even show up. They texted her and said, this is what I believe, leave it alone. And they probably weren't being ugly about it. I'm kind of overemphasizing. But others were just like, I thought this, and I said, I've been taught this all the time, and she just looked there and said, okay. And we continued with whatever we were studying. It was like, so, we go on, and weeks are going by, and I'm learning about the feasts and like the Sabbath and all this Hebrew mindset, and it was rocking my world. And today I acknowledge it as a positive way, but back then, we had a newborn and all that, and I was losing my mind. Everything I had ever been taught was being shaken. Like, I had it fastened down. It was rock solid. And here she came and showed me, oh no, the wise man builds his house upon a rock, but, you apparently built yours on sand and something very unstable. And I started realizing this. And so I went home, doing my own research and things. I'm trying to figure things out. I'm like, what's going on here? And, I basically just, I think actually what I literally did, because I had started learning about the term messianic and stuff like that. So I literally just went to YouTube. I typed in messianic. And I think one of the first things that popped up at that time was Michael Rood. And so I started listening to a lot of his material before he got the whole, Shabbat Night Live fiasco and stuff. And back in the day when he actually seemed like a legitimately decent person. And I listened to his A Rude Awakening teachings. I was learning about the feast and all that kind of stuff through him. Eventually, I stopped going to that Bible study for like a year at that time, and I was like, I gotta clear my head totally, because what resulted from me learning all this was completely sleepless nights, totally restless. I mean, I would be laying there in bed, my wife's sleeping just fine, but I'm laying here, I'm laying in bed, and I'm just like, am I wrong about everything? Because, it's like, you're learning, if you're not keeping Torah, that's what the scripture, that's what the New Testament calls the law. But it's Torah, and it's like you're actually supposed to be keeping it. And I'm sitting here like, I'm not keeping this, and nobody in my family does, and I'm freaking out because it's like I have a newborn. I'm gonna have to teach her the right thing, and I'm starting to realize that I don't have the right thing, and I started trying to practice calling Jesus Yeshua, and now today it's fluent. It's he is Yeshua. He's not Jesus, and for me, and so I started practicing that and everything, and seriously, months I could not sleep. I'd be laying in bed in hot sweats and just stressed. And one day, I think I just realized, you know what? I'm just going to have to submit to whatever the Almighty's will is. I have to know what His mind is. What is His heart? And I finally just had to say, I'm letting go. You teach me. And I took that whole year. Of course, I'd pop up different teachings because, of course, I didn't know this stuff. I had to do the research. I of course had to read other materials and listen to people like Michael Rood. I listened to him, and eventually got introduced to Nehemiah Gordon and Keith Johnson and Arthur Bailey and just all these teachers and stuff. And I would listen to what they had to say, but ultimately I would open up the scriptures and I would take a look at that, and I started to see how Yeshua really did teach Torah. And my whole experience with all that, my perspective on who Yeshua was and is, who the Creator is, that everything really is a Hebrew mindset, and that these feasts aren't Jewish. Scripture says that they are a feast unto Jehovah, and that's what they were. They're not Jewish. And, if you were a Goyim, a Gentile, you were grafted in to that covenant. It was renewed through Yeshua, and we are now Hebrews, Ivrit in the Hebrew language, meaning to cross over. So, I told my wife, and she was having a hard time accepting it too. She was like, everything's wrong, and we can't, I like Christmas. And I'm like, oh, I do too, but I mean, look at what it came from. Look at Easter, And, it's like, we can't celebrate this stuff anymore. And she eventually started seeing how, she actually became probably around the same level of anger that I had over what they really meant. That churches are, worshiping Jesus and stuff, and yet they're celebrating these holidays that all they represent is this pagan sun god and goddess worship of fertility and, child sacrifice and stuff like this. And it was, I was so angry at that. And of course, this drove this huge wedge between me and my family. And we still, we talk and, everything like that. It's nothing like that. But, I remember having conversations with different members of my family. They're like, what religion are you now? And, it's like, I disagree with you, Michael. I think that you're wrong in this. It's, you're putting yourself back under law, and, we were freed from the law, and it's like, well, but no. He didn't say that he came to destroy the law or do away with it. He said he was going to fulfill it, and just, these conversations are completely of no avail. But, I still try. I'm hoping someday that my family will observe the biblical feasts and days, and because and completely, I'll be completely honest with you, if I had not come into my Hebrew roots believing in the Torah, I would have no idea probably that the things going on in Syria right now were foretold in Zechariah and Yeshayahu. I would never have known that. I would never have guessed that these feast days are actually going to be appointed times for things that are actually going to happen in the future, and they're going to happen on those days. And I would never have guessed, because while thinking, obliviously, that I was possibly a watchman, you know, because Jesus Christ could come back at any moment. The reality is, now that I'm in Hebrew Roots, I look back and I'm like, I was so stupid. Oh man, you know, okay. Eventually, after all that, I started going back to our you know, our biblical midrash thing, and this is a long time going. You know, I started this YouTube channel. It's been, I think, 2 years now, roughly. Uh, just teaching Hebrew roots and stuff. Actually, I didn't go back there for a while. I started this channel because, like, I had learned all this stuff. I had to share it. I just had to. And so I started this channel, and I was learning Hebrew, and I was coming into Torah and stuff. And I had, you know, if you want to check out, you know what, I'm going to put this, another link to another video I have on here, the revelation of the making of the Torah scroll. This is something I believe that the Almighty did share with me, because it took me a year to actually come into Torah and then start sharing, and and then I learned how a Torah scroll was made, and I had that revelation it was completely by the Ruach HaKodesh, the Holy Spirit, that's the believer. They get the Torah written down on them, and it is a great video. You really have to check it out. It's I don't think I say that much about one of my videos, but this is a good one. Go watch it. But okay, 21 minutes. Wow. Okay, so you know, I started this channel, and I just started sharing things, and you know, like I think it's like a lot of teachers, we don't know everything. I still don't. I'm still learning stuff, and every time I learn something new, it's just like mind blowing, you know. And so I fully acknowledge, and to this day, and I will confess this without hesitation, that I am not a perfect, blameless, or sinless man. I still have faults. I still deal with things. It's not that once you come into Torah, somehow magically, you know, you stop sinning. You know, if a person tells me that they don't sin, I automatically know that they just sinned by telling me a lie. But I confess that, you know, I still have struggles, but I don't stop there. I say, you know, and there's a lot of times, you know, there's battles that we go through, and a lot of times I win them. You know, I've won several just this past week. There's a temptation, I said no. And that's, you know, I give all praise to the Almighty for that, because He shows His strength through my life, and sometimes I allow things to get to me. But, you know, with that said, I started this channel, the YouTube channel, and I started posting all these videos, and it was a progression, really. You know, I started sharing things that I was learning, and then I would share them with you guys, and you know, I didn't have a big following. I think I had 4 subscribers or something back then, and now I got an email today, I think, actually telling me that I just received subscriber number 105 or something. I'm like, man, you know, 105 subscribers is wow. You know, that's cool. I wasn't, you know, who knew that this channel would turn out to be what it was? But this is what I use. This is kind of my pulpit, if you will, because the message of the kingdom, that's what I share. I share what I believe strongly to be the truth, and what is most relevant to the believer. These are things you have to know, or should know, and that, you know, that's why I continue on. But I'm going to try to wrap this up because I don't think I have much more time on this recording. But you know, I used to call the Almighty Yahweh or Yahweh at the time, and then I started learning more about the Hebrew in the Aleppo Codex, that actually they slipped up like 50 times in accidentally writing out the full name with all its vowels and in its full pronunciation, and that's why I've changed since to calling him Jehovah, and two, I'm starting to look at it again, and I'm trying to determine what is the true pronunciation, and I acknowledge we'll never know until He reveals it to us. It could be Yehovah, it could be Yehovah, I don't know. You know, I'm just a finite human being. But, you know, I started going back to my Midrash group, and they were like, what? You know, where have you And I was like, I had to take a year to deal with all this, man. And but it was great. It was just like they're like we meet on Sabbath now, and we're doing Torah portions. That because my friend she was no, I think it was her mom had actually, she goes through the group. She was actually like we were trying to go to Revelation, and she just stopped and said, I'm starting to realize I don't know this. Because I don't, and that's all of us really. We're all realizing at I guess the same time, some sooner than the others, that we were trying to teach something we didn't really know, and in a lot of cases, in our own personal study time though, we've all grown. And when I got back, her mom, she was like, back when you came, back like a year ago or whatever, she's like, I used to think that you were just the most arrogant little guy. I was like, okay, but she's like, but I can tell, I see that you really have grown, and I'm like, I certainly hope so, But I stepped right back in, and it's like I never left. We were just in study, and there were some new people, and just about everybody else had left, and weren't going there anymore. And they're going back to their Christian churches and stuff, and they're doing what they think is right by them, and I can't hold that against them. And I don't. I love them very much. And I don't want to offend any of them if you're watching this video. That's why I haven't used names. But with all that said, here I am today, and I've written a book that I just believe is completely one of the most important works of my life so far. And I'm trying my best to try to get it worked out and published. And I might just go ahead and publish it and then come out with like a second edition or something like that. So this will be like a first edition. But I'm doing that. I'm still doing the videos, as you see. I've learned Hebrew. I can completely read Hebrew now. And guys, this is what's brilliant. And I'm telling you that don't know Hebrew or whatever, you can learn it. Okay, look, I learned how to read Hebrew in a matter of 2 or 3 weeks. Like, seriously, put some Hebrew in front of me, I can read it. I'm not, I can't translate it, but I can look at the words and just be like, okay, I can pronounce that out, and I'll look at a word, and if it doesn't have the vowel points, I'm just guessing, but I can sound it out and stuff, and it takes me a little bit of time, but it's like, I remember I opened up Bereshit, Genesis, in Hebrew, and I was just looking at the Hebrew, and I read the very first line, verse 1, if you will, all in Hebrew, and it's like, and I started to, tears just came to my eyes, and I was like, wow, I just read Hebrew. I know what that word is, and that way I can pronounce that, and I know what that means, and why that's there, and it's just like, mind-blowing, it's amazing. And it's a whole lot less like learning something you don't know. It's more like remembering something you had forgotten. It's cool. But, here we are today, and, we're moving out of this house. We're moving into my in-laws for the time being, because we don't have another house. And, here I am today. I can say that I am a Hebrew believer in Yeshua HaMashiach. I believe in his Torah. I believe Yeshua is the Torah. And I believe that, he's made this covenant with us. The Almighty has made this covenant with us that if we obey his commands, he'll bless us. He'll be Yehovah Yirah to us, our provider. Yehovah Rapha. He'll mend us and bring us into, he'll complete us and heal us, and I have a whole new love and respect for the Tanakh, the Old Testament, and I'm just today my most relevant message is that I'm trying to get people back on the path, the straight and narrow path, which is the Torah. That is the way, the truth, and the life. That is why Yeshua, the living Torah, says that he is the way, the truth, and the life. And I find that today, you know what, this is my mission in life, is to get people on that path. Because, you may call Jesus your Christ, and, God, you may believe in God or whatever, but, without the Torah, without his commands, his statutes, his precepts, living them, uh, and just being in them, and, getting all things wicked and pagan out of your life and your home, you're not on that straight and narrow path. I mean, realistically, Christianity is a huge movement. The Hebrew roots Messianic movement, that's really small. And I don't really use that as a means to emphasize that I'm right or whatever, but, Yeshua said that the way is straight and narrow. Few will find it. And I got this allergy thing going. But the way that leads to destruction is wide and broad, are its gates. And so many will walk down that direction. And that's why I wrote this book, based off of Matthew 7, where he says, "Depart from me, I never knew you, you who practice lawlessness, you who are anomia, without Torah." And that is that messed me up, just reading that. And once I learned what it meant, just that messed me up so bad. And and it saddens me, because I'll share this message with people and they'll say, "That's not for me, I don't believe that." And, that's, my mission is not to convert you, it's to make disciples. My mission, my commission, is to tell you the truth, and it stops there. But if you don't accept that, that's on you. I did my part, I told you the truth. But if you do accept it, I'm here to help you as you get onto the path. It's my job, I guess you could say my job, it's my ministry, my mission, my passion, my privilege to help you stay on the path. The word for sin is chata or chit, which means to miss the mark. Is this idea of, you stumbled off the path, you missed it, right? And my job, my mission, is to help you stay on the path, just by giving you direction and loving you, because that's what the Torah is. It's loving your Elohim with all your heart, soul, mind, and strength, and loving one another as you love yourself. And once we get that, once we understand that, and once we accept it and just, give ourselves fully to the Almighty, that's when, I hope this doesn't sound arrogant, but that's when you can say a testimony like I just gave, and say that you're finally in the truth. You're in the way. You're in the way. You're in the truth. You're living the life. And the life is in you. You're in the life. It's a beautiful thing. Yeah. Well, I haven't done any packing today, so that's part 2 of my testimony. Don't think there's really a part 3 to speak of, unless anyone wants to, pose a question to me. I'll be happy to try and answer it. Something about my experiences, or just something scriptural in general, because a lot of my stances have changed. I used to be Trinitarian. Today I'm not so much a Trinitarian. I believe there's something to Yeshua and the throne and everything, but I don't think it's what the Trinitarian doctrine teaches. I don't believe the rapture is going to happen before the tribulation anymore. I actually believe that the rapture's about the last, the 10 days before the true end of all of this stuff, or something to that effect. Okay, there you have it. That's my my testimony part 3 in 35 minutes. Wow. Well, if you watch this long, thank you for listening to me talk about me. And I acknowledge that a lot of you out there probably have similar stories. Maybe you grew up in the Hebrew Roots movement. I don't know. But, let me put this back on you. If you have a story that you would like to share, I'd like to hear it. If you can record it and, reply to this video with that video so other believers can see your story. I think that would be wonderful to see. But if you can't record it, maybe go to my Facebook page. Go to the link's in the description, but go to my Facebook page, befriend me, ask me to be your friend on there. And for whatever reason you can't see it in the description, it's facebook.com/Michael, MIHAAL .shalom, SHALOM. And go on there, add me as a friend, write up the testimony you want to share, and I'll be happy to record myself reading it for you, or just post it on my wall. Type it up and, let that be your testimony, because I've got a bigger friend base on Facebook than I do on Twitter. Twitter, I have like 6 followers. But you can find me on Twitter as well at twitter.com/Michael86, MIHAAL. Yes, I'm aware I spelled it wrong, but that was back when I first started this channel. So, let's leave it there. Shalom, Toda Rabba for everything, for all these subscribers, man. Wow. But, I know it's a lot less about me. I know that. It's more about the desire for truth, the passion for truth, which is a good ministry, by the way. And I know it's because we just have this profound love for the Almighty, our Creator, and Yeshua, the Messiah. And we're just being a mishpachah, we're a family. And that's what this is all about. And that's what I want to emphasize. That this channel is not about me or what I believe. It's what is true. And it's about the mishpachah. It's about our family. And, we don't always agree on stuff. We really don't. But, there's this saying, put 2 Jews in a room, you'll have at least 3 opinions. In which we're not Jews, but, well, maybe you are, I don't know. But we're here to help one another, and if we disagree with one another, that's fine, I've actually found that because I disagree with people, I've learned more. And a lot of times, I actually argued with people that Yahweh is the proper name. You're wrong, man, and all this kind of stuff. And it may be, but, through disagreeing with people and I started learning more and, doing my own research, I've actually come to start accepting Yehovah as the true pronunciation. It's just, that's how it works. For me, at least. But, okay, I'm turning this camera off. It's almost an hour.